Hi, welcome to the Songwriter Diaries. This is a podcast all about picking the brain of every songwriter that you know. So grab a glass of wine and join us. My name is Megan Ellsworth. My co-host is Caroline Stump. This is the Songwriter Diaries. We're all depressed, so let's write a song about it. Hello.
Hello,
Welcome.
welcome to season 8 of the Songwriter Diaries. It is season 8, right, Megan?
Yeah, season 8. Crazy.
Insane. Can't believe we've been doing it for this long.
I know.
But to
We
kick
say that
off the
every time.
season, I don't know, Courtney, I don't know if you knew that you're kicking off the season, but you are.
Right. I love being first.
We have with us Courtney from Bison Bone. Hello.
Hello. Happy to be here.
We're so glad to have you. Super stoked to chat all things songwriting with you. So why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in music and as an artist and songwriter.
It started in junior high creative writing class. First class I ever got an A in, and I was like, okay, I can this is easy. I can do this. At the same time, like I'm sure most people you talk to, I was one of those kids who always like get records or CDs at the time and read all the liner notes and like have sleepovers and just want to listen to music while other people wanted to trade baseball cards or Pokemon or whatever. Like, oh, you got to listen to this song. And then really did that. And then college, same thing. I always did well on lit, English, creative writing. And then I grew up in a really small town, so there was nobody really to like play music with. But once I got to college, I found a community for that. And that's when songwriting and kind of jamming took off. And I realized like, oh, you don't have to be, I don't know, Garth Brooks to do this. You can be at any level and do this, which was like changed my whole life, really, just that idea. Then moved to Denver 10 years ago, I guess, and just mostly focused on songwriting for the first few years I lived here before starting a band. And then finally felt like I had enough chops for that, and got a band here. And that really felt like it started taking off around 2016. And kind of been doing that ever since, and just happy to have the opportunity to keep doing it and get to play with really good players.
That's awesome. Yeah, Denver has some of the best musicians ever. And I live in Nashville now, and I'm still like, some Denver guitars are still better than the guitarists I've seen here. But when did you start playing any instruments?
Well, I always kind of just, like fiddled around with them. I remember getting one of those like kind of toy keyboards from my grandma for Christmas one year when I was probably, I don't know, 6, and learned songs on that, like Mary Had a Little Lamb, things like that. But I never really was that technical or took lessons, and mostly just really learned in depth once I got to college and around really good players, and then just jamming. So never really I took music theory here and there, but it never really took hold like actually playing with people that were good and experienced players. And then now as I've gotten older, kind of going back, and like I've been working with a vocal coach the last 3 years, which has been a nice surprise for it's actually been really inspiring for songwriting and performing, and I've gotten more out of it than I thought outside of just the vocal part.
That's so cool. May I ask who your vocal coach is?
Yeah, Connie Hong. She's in Ivory Circle. So she's been collaborating with me, and when we record records, I'll usually have her come in and at least like help me with warm-ups or just help me like figure out how to navigate that song. And a lot of times we've already worked through that song or those group of songs before we even get into the studio. So it's been, first it was a lot vocally, but now it's become more just collaborative than anything.
That's really cool. And I feel like that is something that a lot of, especially younger artists, kind of, I feel like a lot of people take their voices for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I do sometimes. And I So that's really cool and very inspiring that you work with a vocal coach and like, oh man, I want to do that. That's just really, that's so cool.
It's changed so much about my confidence and how I write songs and how I approach all of it. Also, just how I take care of my voice. For a long time, when I was younger, I was very naive about it. And I'm a songwriter, damn it. I don't have to sing well. I don't need to sing well. People need to like my songs. And that was a disservice to the songs. And I wish I'd done this a long time ago, but I'm doing it now and it's been great. And I look forward to continuing to do that.
Yeah,
awesome.
I definitely agree that I think people don't think of their voice as much as an instrument as they should, because it is something that you need to train. It's not just, oh, I can talk, so I can sing, decently enough, but it's, you have to sing properly or else it can be such a struggle later on if you have issues and everything like that. So
it does.
So
And it
true.
also teaches you, like for a long time, I thought melody was just a chord progression, like so much stuff that I know now, it seems so silly. I didn't know until you start like going to practice with these tools.
So, did you fall into your genre naturally, or was it kind of a conscious decision, or is it just like a representation of kind of who you are and your background?
That's a really good question. I don't know that anybody's asked it like that before. I think all of those things. I think I grew up in Oklahoma, small town Oklahoma. Grew up listening to radio country. That was all there was. But once I got to college and realized like there was all of this indie music, punk music that I didn't know, which kind of drove me into at the time what they were calling alt country. So I think with my accent, how I grew up, what I'm writing about, the type of music I listen to or inspired by, it naturally, like all of that just fell into place. It's not really like never thought like I'm going to make this sound or whatever. It's just kind of what happened naturally. But as I'm getting older, I'm hoping that more people I listen to, like Cat Power or Kurt Vile or people like that, start to expand my sound and how I make music. That's what I don't want to be constrained by Americana, rock and roll roots, any of that. Hopefully, expand in a way that still feels genuine to me.
yeah, definitely. I was listening to your EP, The Lost Weekend. Everybody go listen to it. But I was noticing between the songs, I'm like, he's exploring so many different genre ideas throughout each different song. I was like, honestly, all of these songs could fall into multiple genres or fall into genres different from each other. So I was curious about if you consciously thought about that stuff, or it was just like, I write it and I don't know, like it's just there.
I do. It's both. Again, it's both of those things. I'm trying to expand in that way, but some of it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
What the tools I have at the moment. I think it is a good thing, and I think ultimately, as I get better and we get better as a band, that will be helpful. It also does a disservice because it's hard to, pigeonhole us. Sometimes it's easier to be marketable in one way for festivals or shows or being able to play with other bands on bills. If we strictly sound like this one thing, yeah, it's hard because it's like we're not necessarily country, we're not necessarily indie rock, and Americana has been helpful lately because that's such a big umbrella, but
So true.
that also gets tedious too. Just the Americana label is pretty generic at this point too. So it's hard. So I don't know. I guess I have a love and hate relationship with the marketability of that, which I wish wasn't the case, but it is.
Yeah. I think every artist I've ever met, their least favorite question is, oh, what genre are you in? It's like, I don't
true.
know. I sing stuff and I write stuff. I don't have a genre. It's just fluid. There's an artist named Yola, and she has a shirt that says genre fluid, and I'm absolutely obsessed with that idea. Like, I'm genre fluid. Don't try to put me in a hole or try to decide what I am. This is just this is me.
I love that.
Me too. It's correct.
So when you're writing, do you usually start with lyrics or do you start with instrumentation with your band?
I always start me by myself first. Now it changes every time, every record cycle, whatever I'm trying to do. I try to take everything I've learned from the previous records experiences and coming from a different approach. It usually starts with just guitar, melody, guitar chords, then kind of go back and forth between a notebook and then see kind of what fits. Again, it's a different approach every time. Used to, it would be just me and guitar, and I wouldn't even write anything down, which seems, again, really silly. I would just play it till I memorize it, but there's no way of editing that way. You need to see it on paper. You need to be able to just speak it, read it, create a melody with it. So this time around, I think we are going to start with the band first, and we've never done that. I've been talking to those guys. I have a really great rhythm section that's been with me for 4 years now, if you want to count the last 2 years.
Yeah,
they're great.
Those are a wash,
Right.
Just the lost years,
So I think I want to start with, just kind of jamming with them and have them come up with some cool fills and then go from there. And it may be a mix of all of those things, but yeah, hopefully no just one way anymore. I've done it. I started, multiple different ways, and hopefully this time around it's with all the tools, and one song can start this way and one song can start a completely different way, and not be like, I'm not going to be routine about it. This has worked in the past, so I'm going to keep doing this. That's not really the way I do anything.
I think that's smart. I mean, all the different kinds of experiences, you never know what's going to work. So
yeah, and like going back to the not putting yourself in a box or pigeonholing yourself. And that totally has to do with this as well. Like, not just genre, it's how you approach the music, how you approach the recording of the music. So that's really cool that you're trying different things, and always you got to keep it fresh.
Yeah, so. I mean, or else what's the point, right?
Right.
Unless it's just for vanity or ego, or just to be a part of something, to say you're a part of it. I mean, it's not like I'm selling, tens of thousands of records. So why not try to push it and learn and grow? I mean, or else it's, I don't know, in my mind, it's pointless. That's the whole point of it.
Yes. Oh, wow. I loved that, what you just said. That is so, everyone listening, that's a good little nugget to take from this. It's so true. I love that. Well said. So you recently released, or I guess not recently, but somewhat recently released your EP, The Lost Weekend. Do you want to kind of dive into how you recorded that, what the releasing process was for that project?
Yeah, we released that back in November of last year. So about 6 months, which is sort of a long time for us. We've been doing like a full record, then EP, full record EP, almost one a year for the 4.5 years, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just because, again, I felt like I was learning so much every time. I wanted just to keep that momentum and go back and practice what I learned. But this time we're going to actually take our time, and we probably won't go back into the studio for another year from now, and just really put a lot of work and time into that. But yeah, the EP, we did that. It's been a minute. We did that this time last year. So spring, we finished it. We hadn't been together for a whole year. I hadn't seen my band for a year. I've been sending them everything through voice, my iPhone. Yeah, and we just picked a weekend to go into the studio, my guitar player studio, actually, and we just picked a weekend and went there and ran through them, which is only 4 songs, so that's not like, that difficult. But it was great. Like, those guys are so professional. Like, we didn't have to run through the songs that often, and felt like we didn't miss a beat after not seeing each other for a year, which is really great and inspiring.
That's very inspiring. That's very cool.
And did you record any of it live, or was it all like separate, recording each instrument?
We did a lot of it live. We've always kind of done that. I again, my personality is try to be really efficient with anything we do.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to cut corners. I definitely don't mean that. But I like it being just a little more efficient and fresh, and not, just beating something down into submission, right? It is the songs at some point, they are what they are. Your skill level is what it is. You're only as good as the tools you have at that moment. Kind of look at it. This is a documentary of where we are right now. And so we usually will do the rhythm section live, and sometimes guitars live. So anywhere from like 3 or 4 instruments live at any given time. Go overdub a few things, always go and overdub vocals. But it could be anywhere from 2 to 5 instruments getting recorded live at the same time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, go and overdub acoustics and things like that. But a big portion of every record we've ever done has been live, and it will probably continue to go that way, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry, Megan.
No, go ahead. Go right ahead.
I was gonna say, I think the idea of being efficient is so important because, I mean, unless you have friends with studios, which I think we all do, which is so nice because it's less, time constrictive.
Mm-hmm.
But especially going into the studio, just being as prepared as possible, because that costs so much money to just go into a studio.
Yeah.
So I think the more efficient, the better in that situation. But I also think that's cool that even after a year, you were ready to record live, like at the get-go, and shows how much your band is, on top of their shit. Because that's just
and a
really
year
hard
apart,
to do.
too. Like
Mhm.
not having an in-person rehearsal. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they are really talented players, and also they get along well, it makes all of that easier. And the fact that we've been together for a little while,
Yeah.
how big part of it is knowing how each other communicates, right?
It's like
Verbally,
a relationship,
it is, and it felt like we're in a long-term relationship or a long-distance relationship for that year. It's like, oh yeah, pick up right where we left off.
Yeah.
I have a lot of gratitude towards that. I don't take that for granted at all, because a lot of people, you just don't get the opportunity to play with the same people for very long, especially like have a lot of money.
So what song or project are you the most proud of, and why?
Oh man, these are fun questions.
We've got hard-hitting ones mixed in with the logistical ones.
Well, I would say the last record, that EP that we're just talking about, the last weekend, the self-titled song, the last weekend. I really enjoyed. That was the last one I wrote for the EP, and that one felt really good to me because it came from a place of gratitude where with everything going on, it was just kind of this daydream of this lightheartedness of like, let's go hang out with our friends. And like, it was just all about these little details, right? And these things that like, I could just see myself or whoever the character was in that story, just smiling the whole time through every scene. And I liked that. It was just like, hey, let's go do this. It's only a Tuesday night, but we deserved it. Things have been a little rough around here. Let's just go, let our hair down for a night. And that felt like it connected well with me individually. So I hope it did with everybody else.
Yes, definitely.
That's
and
really
that is
cool.
going to be the song that closes out the episode. So everybody stay tuned. We're not done. Don't worry. We're not done with you yet. We have more questions, but that will be closing out the episode. So everyone can hear it, and you can stream it too, but listen to the rest of the episode to hear it.
I love how the process of writing an album, like I feel like the last song that is written for the album always gets on it, and it is almost always like the hit, or like the one that you're most proud of, or that just hits differently. That's cool. I really also enjoy that song. It's really great.
Thank you. That means a lot from y'all. I appreciate that. I think
Yeah.
want to take it back to songwriting, but I think my assumption is the reason the last song is usually the best, or makes it on, is because you've put in all of that work, and you, up to that point with writing, which is a good like a reminder of people to constantly be writing, because
Absolutely.
when it works that way, you're like, it is a very good example of why you should be doing it often, because you get in those grooves and you find that flow and you find your voice, where sometimes it's almost like, oh, this should be the start of the record now, and it should be scrap everything before that. But you can't always do that. You don't have the time.
Either Megan and I were talking about this in a previous episode or off air about this, but talking about how it's like everything you write later, it's like, or you look back at your old releases, you're like, I could make that so much better now, and all of this stuff. And I am like, I think that just shows so much growth. And if you're not thinking about your past stuff that way, or if you're not, continuously changing and morphing and growing, then you're doing something wrong. Like Megan was talking about the pressure of the, what would you call it? The second album pressure?
Sophomore album.
Yes, the sophomore album pressure of, oh gosh, like I released this like album that's amazing, and now I have to do it like 10 times better and all of this stuff. But I think just naturally, if you're writing all the time, and if you are, passionate about songwriting, it's just naturally going to be better because you're continuously growing.
That's so true.
Yeah, the work kind of creates the inspiration, not the other way around, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just being there and doing it, then it goes back to what we were talking about with vocal lessons earlier, like creating those opportunities and that inspiration for yourself. You're not going to, being just sitting around doesn't do that. You got to be moving, and you got to be pushing forward, and then you'll create those opportunities for inspiration. And that again is probably why the last song on any record's really good one, because you're that momentum's going.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So true. So this is kind of a heavy hitter question. What goals have you set for yourself for the next 5 years?
The big one, I would say, and every time I feel like we get really close to making this happen, something happens, obviously COVID, and not to get too into that, or inflation right now, gas prices. The point I'm getting to is touring. We had planned about 50 dates outside of Colorado for 2020. 2020 started great for us. One of the last shows we just finished an LP. We're putting it on vinyl, and which did come out, and which we're stoked about. But we finished that and played Bluebird the same day.
Oh my gosh.
Right before COVID, and had a great 2020 plan. So, and I want to get to where we can do like 75 like solid good dates a year, if not more, outside of Colorado at some point. But every time that looks like it's going to be possible, then gas is $5 a gallon, and I don't know how you can do it that way.
Well,
So
it's
true.
going to happen. I'm manifesting it for you, that you are going to go on tour and play 100 cities.
And everyone out there listening, go to the freaking shows. Go see Bison Bone if they come to your hometown, because it's definitely worth it. And support music, please, for the love of God.
Honestly.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, I have an ongoing sticky note on my computer that is just shows I need to buy tickets for when I have money. I'm like, okay, I have a list of all the shows I want to see and which ones I need to buy tickets for. I'm like, support artists, big or small, mainly small.
I feel like before COVID, I was going to a lot of shows, and I'm still trying to get up to the capacity, the social capacity I used to have, and go to more. I feel myself like as a consumer and fan going to less shows, and
Yes.
I know that ticket sales are hard for everybody right now.
I'm so glad that you brought that up because both as an artist and a consumer, it's been hard on both sides. So selling tickets has been hard because people just don't have the social capacity that they used to. And then as a consumer, I mean, I don't go to nearly as many shows as I used to. I'm not doing as much as I used to because those 2 years just, being at home were kind of nice in a way, and you get used to it. And my social battery is nowhere near what it used to be, and it's such an odd feeling.
And Stranger Things is so good. I mean,
so true.
Don't tell me. I have 2 episodes left.
Oh my God, I have 5, so don't say anything.
Oh, okay. I have 2 left. So
but how are you supposed to compete with that?
Yeah,
I know. And even as a musician, an artist, you're like, dang, if I don't even want to go, then it's like, fuck.
I know.
How are you supposed to expect other people to go?
Yeah, because
it's also the trade. Like, oh, I'll go to your show if you go to my
If you
show,
come to my show.
kind of thing of like, I want to go support you, but also I have a show coming up. Do you want to come support me too? Like,
yeah.
And that gets really difficult, I think.
It does.
Because that does take away from your productivity as an artist. If you're running thin, you're trying to support everybody else and going out, it's hard to find that balance of I want to be supportive and be a part of the scene and community, but I've got to create space and time for me to be better so I can give that back to the community. And that can be, a little touch and go at times.
Yeah. Like that classic saying, you can't give from an empty cup. Like, you need to make sure that your cup is full before you can let some of it go to the community or others or whatever.
I thought you were gonna say before you let others drink your cup.
Before you let others sip
that's
out
how
of your
the saying goes. Yeah, I really think the pandemic brought out the introvert in everybody, because I am very extroverted, but I value my alone time so much now. Like, I need to just refuel and do nothing, watch Stranger Things, take that time, which I think has been great for my mental health, but also probably not great for ticket sales for my friends.
Yeah, totally.
It's true. I'm a huge extrovert as well, and I was really surprised by that with COVID, how okay I was being alone and how long it's taken me to get that energy back up to being an extrovert and being social and finding that balance, and how long it takes to recover from that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's really something. There's something to be said about creating space for people and just being honest with each other and being like, I'm still reeling from this post-pandemic world, or we're still kind of in it. It's confusing, and I think also because so many people are feeling the same way, that we're all a little more open to it and kind, hopefully. That's
patient, graceful,
patient.
Yeah, and hopefully with time we'll all get our momentum back individually and as a community too.
Yeah, definitely. So we have one more question.
The time has come.
The hardest hitting question. Why do you write songs?
That's the whole reason I started any of it. That's why I'm still doing it now, is just being a musician, having a band, playing shows, all is just a reason for me to write songs. I would probably still do it without all of those things, but that's what started. That will always be the thing. That doesn't really answer your question, but it's a way of connecting with myself, with my surroundings, with my people, with my experiences, past and future, I guess. With community. It's an outlet. It's a way to be creative. It's a way to inspire other parts of my life, other creative aspects of my life, whether it be cooking or gardening, or the way I just have coffee conversations. It's the number one thing, and will always be the number one thing. Without that, nothing else matters as far as in the music world.
Wow.
Well,
I love that answer. It sounded like you prepared that answer. It was so good.
That was great.
Thank you.
Take a bow, you know?
Standing O. That was great. Well, the time has come now where the episode will end with this fabulous song by you, The Lost Weekend. Do you have anything else to say about the song, or to say to the people out there listening?
I think we hit on a lot of it. I think, just people show up when and how you can show up. This has been a great conversation. I've had a lot of fun, and hopefully that just inspires other songwriters out there and other fans out there to, maybe this will help them connect a little more.
Spring is